3 ChatGPT queries, 8 hours of suffering, and lots of documentation pages later, I had made the main menu of my multiplayer FPS game, and as well as the server and the database. Well, at least a part of it. Let's go over the process from the start, and hopefully by the end of it, we both come out a little bit wiser. It all started with a button. The main menu will be consisting of various buttons that will essentially be just mini HTTP request events. One for creating the lobby, the other for joining a lobby by typing the name, and the last being a series of scrollable buttons consisting of all the active lobbies that you can join into by clicking on them. Naturally, it calls for a base button class from which the rest of my buttons will inherit their function from. But since I do not have a server yet, let us park the base code for now and focus on styling the menu first. Did I say styling? Sorry, I meant suffering. God, why is making UI in this game engine so tough? Hear me out for a second. Since I knew CSS, I thought that the grid container performed similar to something we have in Bootstrap. That is, I could control the ratio of my element size in this container. But nope, you can't do that, because everything is auto-scaled. After scratching up a half an hour of work, I just made my menu with bare elements. But I learned one neat little trick. You see this black box? How it is roughly 30% of my screen. If I were to change my screen size, this ratio will just go out of whack. This is because it is currently set to absolute value in terms of pixel count. If I want to make it relative to its parent node, that is the screen in this case, I just click this set to current ratio button and we are golden. After around 2 more hours, I had made the skeleton of the menu. But at this point, I was starting to question my life decisions. What can I say? Content does that to you. I needed a new kind of pain.
This is called a tactical whip.
Let us make the server. While my Doodoo Brain decides to start functioning again, let me try to tell you what I wish to do today. I want to make a middleware. Why? Because see, my backend for this game will be hosted online, meaning everyone on the internet can access to it by hitting the server URL. And clearly, we don't want that. I only want requests coming from my game client to pass through. And how do we do this? By adding a middleware that will be at the middle of my client and server's request handler. The job of this middleware will be to authenticate the source of this request and only allow it to pass through if it is coming from a game client. Sounds simple enough, right? There is, however, one problem. I fucking forgot how to make a middleware.
What? What the fuck?
Cue the montage. Apparently, I am seriously a Doodoo Brain because that is all that I had to do. Now, after reading some documents for day 3, I shut my machine for the day and rewrote everything. You see, we will have quite a few endpoints in the server spread over multiple connection protocols. Putting all of that stuff into a single file is not that productive if you ask me. Welcome route group builders. I make a group of one type of request route, make the routers that will handle all the requests coming to this group, and then just map that group to my router. Sounds pretty easy and straightforward, right? Say that to my past self who suffered for 2 hours to learn about this. Anyway, with our basic route skeleton done, I just need to install Redis and set it up with my development environment. Great, now how do I integrate it with my server? I kid you not, but Redis has some of the worst documentation I have ever seen in my life. This documentation is only topped by Nest.js in terms of how bad it is. And trust me, it is not a good thing to be best at. And to the fact that ChatGPT just straight up gave me wrong answers, I was in for one hell of a ride, but somehow I trudged on and made a class to handle our Redis APIs. Maybe the documentation was not that bad after all. Connect this Redis API with my route handler, make my HTTP base button code in Godot, and we have a fully functional main menu. Okay, so I kind of skipped what functionality each of my request handler in my server has, because that part has already been covered in the part 1 of this series. So if you're interested in knowing that, do check that video out. It is pretty interesting. Until then, like and subscribe. Bye bye.